Welcome to the recording of the webinar titled What the New Vegetation Management Laws Mean for Managing Mulga in South West Queensland. This webinar was presented on the 16th of July by Seamus Batstone from the Department of Natural Resources, Mines and Energy. This is part 3 in a series of short recordings from this webinar and is titled Property Report Maps and Which Clearing Options Applies to You.
So how do you start? You request a personalised property report. We'll provide a link to that. You put your lot on plan number in and it'll send you an email, a PDF version of a bunch of maps and some other information. So you get your regulated vegetation map, your vegetation management supporting map, so your regional ecosystem map. There'll be a protected plants flora survey trigger map. So that's the Department of Environment and Science side of things. And you'll find out whether you've got a property map of accessible vegetation, and that'll be attached if you do have one. So what does the regulated vegetation management map look like? Dark blue, light blue, yellow generally. So the yellow there, you can see that's that category R watercourse mapping. The light blue is category C, high value regrowth, and the dark blue is the normal old category B regulated vegetation. That one doesn't actually show any areas of category A, but they could be where someone's done a vegetation offset for a development, or there's a compliance notice or a voluntary declaration. The supporting map looks like the old regional ecosystem map. You've got your endangered, of concern, of least concern vegetation, and you'll have the regional ecosystems listed on there. Breakdown of those regional ecosystems might be 70-30 in an area. It'll have your essential habitat mapping and your watercourses and wetlands. So that's the one you look at for your working at your regional ecosystems and your essential habitat, if that's going to affect you with your fodder harvesting. The protected plants flora survey trigger map. Now I've put a number on there to call. This is where there's some sort of protected plants in that area and it may affect your development. It's actually not our department. And so with that one, we suggest if you've got that, which is going to be pretty rare, it'll be very rare to find that out here. But if you do have a spot like that on your map, on the protected plants flora survey trigger map, there's a number there to call and you can have a chat to them about what that means. And it affects it affects different types of development in different ways. What does a PMAV look like? That's one where they've got the category C, category B and category X. It's the first point of truth, the PMAV as far as legislation goes. So that's what we look at first off. When somebody rings up, we open up their PMAV, we say, yes, that's category X, you're fine to go. It doesn't matter what's happening underneath it really. Obviously the protected plants trigger map's a bit of an issue, as I said, but that's a different department. What do you do once you've got your property report? So you've downloaded your property report, it's been sent to your email. Check what clearing options apply to your property. So, are you putting a fence line or a track through of least concern vegetation? Probably going to be exempt clearing. You probably don't need to talk, you can ring the hotline just to check, but you're not going to probably need anything from us. Other types of property infrastructure are often covered by the Accepted Development Vegetation Clearing Code for property infrastructure. So a lot of things are permissible under that. If you're in of concern and doing things like that, you may need to notify. You may be covered by an area management plan. There's a few of those still active around the place. The only one that really got canned was the big one that covered the whole Mulga lands. So there was a big one that covered the whole Mulga lands that was a precursor to the self-assessable codes. Came out as a stopgap between the old permitting system and the self-assessable codes. That one's gone, but a lot of the other ones remain active. A lot of you who are operating under those know about it already, and you're just continuing to do that work. They'll be phased out over the next couple of years. Many of them have reached their 10-year time frame anyway. Obviously, you've always been able to get development permits for different things. You can still get one for fodder harvesting if you so desire. And, managing thickened vegetation's available under a development permit, just like it used to be, 6 or 7 years ago. We used to issue permits for managing thickened vegetation. And that applies to, a bunch of other infrastructure things that fall outside of the scope of self-assessable codes or exempt clearing.
Thank you for watching this part of the recording of the webinar of What the New Vegetation Management Laws Mean for Managing Mulga in South West Queensland, which was recorded on the 16th of July 2018.